Part 1. The Lie of Insufficiency. You are not enough. Let me take you somewhere deep inside your own mind. Imagine waking up each day with a voice already speaking in the background. It doesn't scream, it whispers, and the whisper sounds like truth. It says, "You are not enough. Not yet. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe when you lose the weight, get the job, earn the praise. But not now. Not as you are." That voice is not your intuition. It's your inner demon. What makes this voice so terrifying is that it doesn't sound foreign, it sounds exactly like you. It borrows your tone. It wears your memories like armor. It speaks in your language, uses your past against you, and wraps its lies in logic. It doesn't attack you with fire, it seduces you with familiarity. And because it sounds like you believe it without question. This is the first and most dangerous lie your inner demon tells: you are not enough. This lie is ancient. It is the root of most human suffering. It hides in your ambition. It sneaks into your relationships. It poisons your self-talk. And the tragedy is, the more you try to prove your worth, the more evidence you find that you're still not there. Because the lie is designed to be a moving target. No matter what you achieve, it will whisper, "Not yet." Let's break this down with logic. If your worth were based on achievement, then success would bring permanent peace. But it doesn't. How many people do you know who've made it by society's standards and are still deeply unhappy? Millionaires who are miserable, celebrities who are addicted, professionals who are drowning in stress. If success could silence the inner demon, the most successful among us would be the most fulfilled. But often, they're the most haunted. This is because the lie of insufficiency is not about your external circumstances, it's about your internal belief system. It's a virus of the mind, a philosophical glitch, a psychological illusion. And like all illusions, it only has power if you don't question it. So let's ask, who taught you that you weren't enough? Was it your parents, repeating what was told to them? Was it a teacher who mistook your silence for stupidity? Was it society selling you the idea that beauty, success, and popularity were the only currencies of worth? Most of us were not born with this lie, we inherited it. And like a child inheriting a broken heirloom, we carried it into adulthood, thinking it was ours to wear. But as Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are rooted in the belief that you are fundamentally lacking, then no amount of external validation will ever feel like enough. You will always be chasing, never arriving.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
The lie of not enough doesn't just hurt you, it shapes your entire life. You start to perform instead of express. You chase perfection instead of truth. You seek approval instead of alignment. You say yes when you mean no. You dim your light so others don't feel insecure. You want to scream, but instead you smile. And each time you do, the lie gets stronger. It feeds off your silence. But here's the awakening. You are not a product to be fixed. You are a process to be remembered. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be whole. And wholeness includes your scars, your doubts, your failures, your fire. You are not broken, you are becoming. And the voice that says otherwise is not your soul. It is your shadow. Let me ask you something deeply personal. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to prove your worth and started living as if it were already true? Can you imagine the freedom, the peace, the creativity, the relationships you'd attract not based on performance, but on presence? That's what's possible when you silence the demon of insufficiency. The first step is awareness. You must notice the voice. Listen to it, not as a truth, but as a signal. When it says you're not good enough, pause and ask, who told me that? And were they even qualified to judge my value? Most of the time, the voice isn't yours. It's a recording, a loop, a lie passed down through generations of unhealed pain. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The same applies here. It's not the voice itself that damages you, it's your unquestioned belief in it. Once you begin to question, the spell breaks, and what remains is truth. You are already enough. Not because of what you've done, but because of who you are beneath the noise. You are not here to prove your value. You are here to live it, to embody it, to express it in every word, every boundary, every breath. And the moment you stop negotiating with your inner demon, something wild and sacred happens. You begin to heal. Not by becoming someone new, but by remembering who you've always been. Part 2. The lie of isolation. You're alone in this. There's another lie your inner demon whispers when you're most vulnerable. It doesn't come when you're surrounded by people. It comes in those in-between spaces late at night, early in the morning, after the argument, after the failure, after the silence. It creeps in and says, no one gets it. No one knows what you're going through. You are alone in this. And just like that, you begin to withdraw not just from others, but from yourself. This is the second massive lie. You're alone in this. At first, it sounds like a fact. After all, how many times have you looked around and felt like no one truly sees you? You may be in a room full of people and still feel invisible. Or you may have hundreds of messages on your phone and still feel like no one's really listening. But feeling alone and being alone are very different things. One is perception, the other is reality. And your inner demon thrives on confusing the two. What this lie does is dangerous. It isolates you not just socially, but psychologically. It cuts you off from the flow of connection. You begin to think your pain is unique, your shame is rare, your doubts are abnormal. You believe that no one would understand if you told the truth. That if people really knew you, your fears, your failures, your fantasies, they'd reject you. So you hide. And the more you hide, the more alone you feel. The more alone you feel, the more power the demon gets. But let's challenge this with philosophical wisdom. The great existentialist Jean-Paul Sartre once said, "Hell is other people." But what he meant was that hell is found in how we perceive others judging us, not in others themselves. We imprison ourselves by imagining how others might see us, and so we isolate ourselves to avoid judgment. But in doing so, we also cut off the very connection that could save us. We forget that behind every smile, every face we pass on the street, there is a beating heart hiding its own pain. You are not the only one who feels broken. You are not the only one who doubts yourself. You are not the only one who cries in secret, who questions their worth, who wakes up in the middle of the night wondering if they're ever going to be okay. These are not signs that you're alone. They are signs that you are human. And the moment you start sharing your truth, something miraculous happens. Others begin to share theirs too. Vulnerability is contagious, and so is healing. Here's the paradox. Your inner demon tells you you're alone because it knows that connection is its death sentence. When you speak your truth, when you let someone in, when you stop pretending and start showing up as you are, the demon loses ground. It thrives in secrecy. It feeds on your silence. But the moment you say, "Here's what I'm really going through," you cut off its oxygen supply. It cannot survive in the light of real connection. Let me ask you something radical. What if the one thing you're most ashamed of is the very thing that could connect you to someone else's healing? What if your story, your raw, unfiltered, messy truth is the exact medicine someone else needs to hear? We often think that people only love us when we're strong, when we're successful, when we've got it all together. But in reality, people connect most with your humanness, not your highlight reel. Think about your closest relationships. Are they built on perfection or on honesty? Are they sustained by appearances or by depth? Real connection doesn't require you to be flawless. It requires you to be real. And realness begins when you stop believing the lie that says no one would understand. Because someone somewhere will. They may not have lived your exact story, but they know the feeling. The ache, the fear, the loneliness, and that shared experience is what makes us human. As Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, an abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior. In other words, your pain is not a defect, it's a natural response to a wounded world. And when we normalize the struggle, we begin to connect through it. We begin to see each other not as problems to fix, but as souls to honor. And that changes everything. But here's the challenge. Connection requires courage. It requires you to risk being seen. It requires you to speak even when your voice trembles. It requires you to reach out even when your inner demon says, "Don't bother, they won't care." And yes, it's a risk. Some people won't get it. Some people won't respond the way you hoped, but some will. And those are the ones who matter. You don't need 1,000,000 people to understand you. You just need one. One person to say, "Me too." One person to hold space for your truth without trying to fix it. One person to see you, not in spite of your pain, but because of it. That's how the healing begins. And that's how the demon loses its grip. So here's your practice. The next time you feel alone, do the opposite of what the voice tells you. Don't isolate, initiate. Text someone. Call someone. Say something honest. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just real. "Hey, I'm struggling today. Can I share something with you? I don't need advice, I just need to be heard." These tiny moments of truth are how we reclaim our humanity. The lie of isolation is powerful, but truth is stronger. And the truth is, we are all walking each other home. Some of us are just better at hiding it. But the moment we stop hiding, we open the door to authentic connection. And in that space, the demon fades not because we fought it, but because we remembered we were never alone to begin with. Part 3. The lie of hopelessness. It will always be this way. There's a moment in every inner journey where things feel impossible. You've made progress. You've faced your shadow. You've tried to unlearn the lies. But then it hits you, that creeping, paralyzing feeling that no matter what you do, nothing will ever truly change. That your pain is permanent. That your flaws are forever. That the life you dream of is always going to be just out of reach. This is when your inner demon whispers its third and most dangerous lie: it will always be this way. This lie is heavy. It doesn't just hurt you, it freezes you. It robs you of momentum, of vision, of hope. It convinces you that your current struggle is your final destination, that your depression is your identity, that your anxiety is your future, that your loneliness is your fate. And because it sounds so final, you stop trying. You stop imagining. You stop risking. You shrink your dreams to fit your despair. But here's the truth. Nothing in nature stays the same. The seasons shift. The tides rise and fall. The moon waxes and wanes. You are part of this same nature. You are not static. You are not stuck. You are not broken beyond repair. You are in a process. And the demon knows that if it can convince you that change is impossible, it doesn't have to defeat you, it just has to make you stop moving. Let's go deeper. This lie of hopelessness is not just emotional, it's philosophical. It's a distortion of time and meaning. It assumes that because something is true now, it must be true forever. But as Heraclitus, the ancient Greek philosopher, once said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river and he is not the same man." This means that even if you revisit the same pain, the same pattern, the same fear, you are not the same person facing it. You are evolving, even when you can't see it. The problem is that most of us measure progress like a straight line. We expect healing to be linear, clear, and quick. But it's not. Healing is spiral-shaped. You return to the same lessons, the same wounds, but each time from a higher level of awareness. What once destroyed you now teaches you. What once triggered you now reveals you. And that is growth, even if it doesn't feel like it. Think back to the darkest moment of your life. Really go there. A time you didn't think you'd survive. A time you felt lost, broken, hopeless. And now realize this, you're still here. Somehow you made it. Maybe you crawled. Maybe you cried. Maybe you cracked. But you made it. And if you made it through that, then who's to say you can't make it through this? The demon doesn't want you to remember your resilience. It wants you to forget. Because if you remembered how powerful you actually are, you'd stop playing small. You'd stop settling. You'd stop believing the lie that your future has to look like your past. But the moment you reclaim your memory, the moment you say, "I've overcome before, and I will again," the demon begins to retreat. Let me ask you something piercing. What if your current struggle is not a punishment but a preparation? What if the pain you're feeling is not a sign that you're failing, but that you're transforming? We talk about transformation like it's a clean, beautiful process. But in truth, it's messy, it's chaotic. It often feels like death. And in a way, it is the death of who you were, so that who you were meant to be can emerge. This is the stage in the video where the stakes are highest. You've faced the lie of I'm not enough. You've refused the lie that I'm alone. But now comes the hardest test. Can you keep walking when you don't see the end? Can you keep trusting when the path disappears into fog? Can you keep believing in something better not because you have proof, but because you have purpose? As Nietzsche famously said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. If you've lost your hope, maybe it's because you've lost your why. Maybe you've been so focused on surviving, you forgot how to dream. You forgot that your life has meaning beyond the pain, that your story matters, that your voice carries weight, that your presence is necessary. Let's slow this down. You are not done yet. Your story is still unfolding. The page you're on is not the whole book. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to rise from the ashes of everything that tried to bury you. And you're allowed to do it imperfectly. The fact that you're still breathing means there's still a chapter waiting to be written. And only you can write it. This is not motivational fluff. This is spiritual, psychological, and existential truth. The human spirit is capable of enduring unimaginable pain and still choosing love, still choosing creation, still choosing joy. That alone is proof that the demon's voice is not the final word. You are. And your word can be one of hope, of healing, of rebirth. So here's the practice. When you hear the voice that says it will always be this way, answer it with a question. Say, how do you know? Challenge it, interrupt it, call it out. Because the moment you question the lie, you create space for a new possibility. And that space is sacred. That space is where your power returns. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to stay in the game. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to choose courage over comfort again and again until courage becomes your new baseline. And when you do, something extraordinary starts to happen. Your inner demon begins to transform into your inner guide. Because here's the final twist. The inner demon isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. It uses lies because it doesn't know truth. It uses fear because it doesn't know faith. But when you stop believing its lies and start listening with compassion, you can begin to reparent that part of yourself. You can begin to integrate it not as a monster, but as a wounded child who was just trying to keep you safe. And that's the ultimate power, not to silence the inner demon, but to heal it, to hold it, to say, I see you, but I'm not living by your rules anymore. And when you do that, when you rise from the ruins of every lie, it's not just your life that changes. It's the lives of everyone you touch. Because healed people heal people, and free people free people. So remember this, you are enough. You are not alone. And it will not always be this way.